everyone, welcome to Herald Global. Today we have with us His Excellency Maher Al Kaabi, a prominent Emirati business leader and advisor with decades of experience in banking, technology and sustainability sector. His Excellency also serves as an executive member of the UAE Circular Economy. Let's deep dive into his journey. I am Saimik and you're watching FastTag. Let me begin by asking you, what inspired you to pursue a career in banking?
Honestly, that was a sheer luck. It was never in my mind. I accidentally found my computer company because I'm a student of computer engineering, computer science.
Sure.
So when I graduated, I started working as an analytical person in one of the research companies. And then I started working in a company developing softwares, programming software like accounting packages, inventory packages, name it. And then the owner of the company, the two co-founders of the company realized, no, I have more to give. So they joined me to ask me to be one of the founders. So we became three founders. So it was literally going after my package and helping people in digitizing the things.
Sure.
And during this time, I was approached by KPMG Bitmarwick. Bitmarwick used to be a company where KPMG took over. This is back in 1993, so very old.
Okay.
And then I got an offer from them, but at the same time, one of my friends was actually getting an interview with Citibank because he knew someone in a recruitment firm, and the owner, she said, why don't you ask your friend as well? And we send them there. And then I was accepted over there. And unfortunately, for some reason, my friend was not accepted. So it was really bad and awkward.
Okay.
So I told them, look, I'm not going to join this bank, to be honest with you, because banking was never there in my mind. And but the lady was very kind, the owner of the company. She said, look, this is an international bank. It's an American bank. Trust me, you will thank me in years to come that, you worked in this bank because there'll be a lot of learning.
Sure.
Not having internet in 1993, I wouldn't know what they're saying. So I had to trust her. Then I took that punt and I started working in. So it came completely as a fluke.
Please tell us about your role as the advisor to the group chairman and individual board member of Al Circle Group.
I sit as an independent board member, but I think the more important, the thing behind that thing is how do we make sure family businesses transition to the next generation? If you look at the global stats, internationally, only 40% goes from first generation to the next generation, to the second generation.
True.
Only 16% goes to the third generation. In UAE, it's even more staggering. It's only 10%. So the chairman of the board, he's someone who sits on many boards. He used to sit on the board of Salat. He's the chairman of Pepsi. He sits on the board of Dubai Insurance. Because as a family, we co-founded these companies.
Sure.
So he understands the challenge and dynamism of what need to be there for a family business to transition and be there for next generation. We're today already fourth generation within the family business. But he wanted to make sure that we have an independent eye who comes and build the businesses who can transition safely to the next generations and for generations to come, which is also tying in very well with the government ambition and aspiration. So Abdullah bin Togh, His Excellency, the Ministry of Economy and Tourism, his mandate was to how do we make sure family businesses are transitioning? Why? To the next generation. Because family businesses constitute anything between 60 to 90% of the GDP of a country.
True.
And when the family businesses demises and do not transition, you're losing so much from your GDP. So that's why His Highness Sheikh Mohammed Rashid, the Vice President of UAE, launched a program, how do we make family businesses sustainable? So I come to make sure that I sit on as an independent board member in the company group over here to make sure that we build all the building blocks, to make sure that we become sustainable. And we also can become then able to list some of the companies that we have to bring additional governance on top of what we're trying to do internally.
Okay, any particular policy that you suggested to ensure the generational sustainability which you just spoke about?
I always start wherever I go with culture. What is the culture we want to be? And once we define the culture, then everybody can come together. And culture cannot be defined by one or two people. Culture needs to be defined by the board of directors, along with your senior management team and some of the select members of the people who are there. But people still follow up what we will do as a board of directors and what senior management team will do. So I think I did a session over 2 days on understanding what we culture to be. So I always advise people, please build the right culture because that will define you. What you're going to be your next step? How will you take to the next step as well? So the clarity will become. And it also becomes a turning point whenever you disagree on something, you will agree, but we agreed on a culture, on a value system of this, because upon that you build your policies, the governance framework. So once you build your culture and values, you build your governance frameworks, and you build your committees, and you put terms of references for your committees. So let's take an example for example, investment committee. If you derive and completely put through what exactly you want to invest today in the coming 5 years or 10 years, then you have clarity what your reference points are. In
Sure.
between, if you get an opportunity that you want to invest in something which is not aligned, and you don't get an agreement, you can always reference board of directors and the investment committee back to the terms of references. So it becomes relatively an easier discussions. So these are the building blocks they need to build up. Put the culture, you put the values, you put the governance structure in place. Then you need to make sure within your investment committees, you need to make sure we often keep on talking about preserving the wealth, which is important to do. But what about increasing the wealth? Because as time passes by, your family businesses will increase, your family members will increase. That's mean whatever wealth you have or whatever income you're generating, the distribution will become smaller and smaller because you have more family members. So that's mean you have a responsibility that you increase the wealth apart from preserving it, also increasing it. So how do you strategically also invest becomes a paramount. And the other element will come into play, which is number 4, because we live in an economy which is very dynamic globally, with the advent of so many technologies coming upon us, things are moving very quickly and very rapidly and fast. So that's mean it's very important that we are agile, and we should be able to change very quickly to what's going on, and also being aligned to what UAE have today as a vision. UAE has very clarity on what the 2 key trends that they want to follow, which I keep on resonating all the time, because I kind of boxed saying that there are 2 key trends, and UAE is in forefront on these trends. And I sit in one of the committees of the circular economy, whereby we actually following that. So that becomes very important, that agility becomes the name of the game of whatever going on through you.
You just mentioned about UAE's circular economy. Can you please tell us what are your roles over there?
The policy, which already they are publicly available on u.ae website, it's up to 2030. We want to make sure that we reduce the greenhouse gas emission overall from the country. But it was important to define which are the key sectors that we want to work on a focus highways. So I put them in an acronym. There are 4 key industrial sectors that we want to reduce the greenhouse emission before anyone else. So I put them in an acronym called MIFT, M starting for manufacturing, I for industrial, F for food security, particularly when food waste happen and all this thing, a lot of greenhouse gas emission takes place, and T for transportation. So how do we make sure that we draft policies around these 4 key sectors? We involve, of course, the federal government and the local government and create that alignment. But we also involve the private sectors. So in the first cohort, currently the chairman of the committee is His Excellency Abdullah Mantouk, the Ministry of Economy and Tourism. The first cohort, we issued 22 policies, and these 22 policies were actually done in collaboration with the private sector. So through a workshop, through a meeting with them, and so forth. We're working on another 22 policies. Again, we're working with the private sector, subject matter expert on those respective policies. So, and also, how do we encourage the private sectors to come not only to be part of shaping the policy, but also get involved with the government in transitioning from linear to circular economy, and also activate the public and private partnership with companies.
Any particular project that you're looking forward to for the year 2026, which is you feel very excited about?
Quite a number of them. One of the verticals that we have today is related to environment-related vertical. And that is one of the oldest companies that we had back in 1992 within the Middle East itself. But through that, we have emerged many other companies within the circular economy vertical. And one of them is called Enviral in the Circle Group. And this has been there since 2009. And what they do, all the waste which is generated from the 14,000 food establishment within Dubai itself, which we put them in the tag called fat oil grease, FOG. If we don't arrest this waste, it can go and clog the municipal lines. And by UNFCCC, it is classified as hazardous waste.
Sure.
So cleaning companies goes and collect this waste. They bring them to our factory. we treat this waste and we put it back into the economy. So full circular. So one of the byproducts which comes out of the waste treatment is water. We have treated and put back into the economy and saved about 650 million liters of water in the last 15 years alone. And neighboring governments and international government have seen what we do, and we're the only plant they do this within the Middle East. So that's why they've approached us, and we're very humbled with that. So we're working actively with Oman, we're working with Bahrain, Saudi, and Uzbekistan on these projects where we want to establish the same factories over there. So these are the things that we're hoping that some of these contracts will happen within this year. We've been also awarded to work on another waste management, which is medical waste with Dubai municipality. We've been very lucky and humbled to work with Dubai municipality again, and they award this to us. And so that will be another project that we're working on, hopefully will be coming up this year itself. Of course, we're trying to also digitize our ways of working. We put a digital platform for the factories we have for the last 2 years. But now we're building our AI model, or I should say predictive model, in terms of accessing our waste faster, and then also putting up our digital twins for the factories, so we'll be able to do proactive maintenances for these factories.
According to you, what are the top 3 AI literacy skills all board members should have? Because you spoke about AI quite a lot.
Honestly speaking, I see a lot of companies are trying to jump on the bandwagon of AI. I'm doing my doctorate in AI. I'm a student of computer science, so I build models in my Citibank time along with my team. So these things have been there for a long time. But I always caution people not immediately jump to any AI model immediately. First, create an understanding. So it's very important for the board members to create an awareness what AI is all about. It's very, very imperative. Why? Because you can see it is touching every economic sectors, every industry today. So to create that understanding for the board is paramount at this point of time. Then understand, how do we govern this AI? I mean, we keep on hearing about so many challenging matters happening. Fake kind of things are happening and permeating immediately. Cybersecurity, we are the second largest hit country globally. We get more than 200,000 attacks per day. If you speak to the Dr. Mohammed Al Kuwaiti, who is the UAE digital and cybersecurity head for the country, he'll tell you how much we're attacked. Why? Because we have so much of economic progression happening in UAE, and that's why we attack. So the board need to be aware of these things, and then can get into understanding what is data for, because without data, you'll not be able to build models. Then try to understand how I meaningfully use it for my businesses. Is it really a test case for my business or not? How can I jump on something very important? So the use case being there is very important. If there is no use case, there is no need to jump on AI. There's so many other tools that are available before it happens. And last but not the least, the importance of making sure we do not digitize a broken process. You need to fix the process before you digitize it. Otherwise, you'll go back to this square one again and again because you've not did the right thing.
Okay, can you please tell us about some of the challenges you have faced over the years?
Well, I can tell you one thing. I mean, I've not faced a challenge that along with my team, we could not manage.
Sure.
Of course, throughout career, like you're talking about almost 30 plus years, Citibank was a very demanding organization. So constantly there was a challenge, whether a challenge of digitizing things very quickly or requiring people to be there. But without coining one or another, I can tell you that with the right team I had an amazing people. I was so lucky to work with amazing people all the time. And those were I would say, the key success for me to weather any challenges I had throughout my career. And now even at the Circle Group, I work with great people who are helped me through the challenges. And before that with Emirates MBD and Dubai Bank, I think I was lucky enough to have great people all the time.
My last question to you, what would be your word of advice to the aspiring entrepreneurs?
I will highlight a few things I mentioned in my TED Talk last year. I think having the right value system is very important and critical. You need to make sure that you have a right moral anchor that you can depend on, because relationship building is all about having the moral values. Because if I want to do business with you, it's important for me to understand and align myself with your moral values. And this has to be at the higher ground. And I think each one of us, irrespective of what religion we follow, all religion always advocate the right values of being honest, highly integral. And if we have those values at our foresight all the time, it will be very easy for us to build the building blocks. So that's number one. Whenever you build businesses, and I think we've seen many people are coming up now, and people, and also as a government, we're encouraging people to build businesses related to digital, because we're driving digital economy in the UAE, and we're in forefront in making that happen. And UAE is the third, I would say, government globally ranked in terms of being digital. So in that case, meaning you need to build businesses, whether it's digital or related to circular economy, it has to be impact driven, where you touch people's life, where you're helping people with them. Because you may copycat things, but also add the flavor of, it should be something very important to help people. You need to make money, we understand that, but make sure that it is really touching the people's life and values. Third would be possibly how you can become agile, because I've seen businesses and founders sometimes sticking to their passion, which is important to do, but they're not able to maneuver to the new realities of how businesses are built. So if things are dramatically, strongly changing, we need to be agile enough to also adapt ourselves. This is whether you're an entrepreneur or you're a startup company or whether you're a large organization. You have to become agile at all times, because things around us will change rapidly. The changes we're seeing today, this year probably will be much more than we saw in the last 3 years. And as time passes by, things will become even more faster. So agility becomes an important element that we need to keep in our mind.
Thank you so much for this time. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saimik. Thank you very much.